how did that whole Vegas trip shift your entire like strategy, or did it at all? Because I mean, it wasn't a lot happened in the marketplace. Like things went up while we were in Vegas. Like as soon as like we were on the marketplace 24/7, like everything started going up.
Yeah, unfortunately in Vegas, I paid about as little attention to Top Shot as I ever have since I got on the platform. I mean, I might have checked in, twice a day possibly, but I wasn't buying and selling or anything. I didn't buy a moment for a week during that Vegas weekend, but everything spiked, which was a pleasant surprise to come home to. I feel good about my previous strategy of hammering some current season moments. So I'm building my Dapper. I'm still buying the cheap floor moments for S2. I've got a decent amount of Dapper on hand that I'm gonna keep there unless Run It Back is just absolutely amazing and I have to spend everything and then go get a second job to worry about S3. There's a very good chance that Run It Back is going to be just a world shifter on a yearly basis.
Definitely going forward, I think it will be. Maybe not this year because I mean we're still in beta. This is only the second Run It Back, but yeah, 100% in the future. Like every time Run It Back drops, like everything. I think we could see like a massive dip in the marketplace overall because people are so desperate to get their hands on Run It Back before they go super like expensive.
100% agree that it's going to change the landscape here in the next couple of weeks. We've seen a decent run up over the last couple of days, and we're recording on the 22nd of August. Over the last 2 or 3 days of the S1 moments have spiked pretty hard. So the more expensive pieces are getting more expensive. But I think when Run It Back comes, those moments that people aren't necessarily attached to, like those grail moments, people will hold on to. But the ones that they're, maybe the second best player on teams or, a rookie with upside, perhaps. Yeah. Maybe those become available to free up some Dapper to get Run It Back moments, because these Run It Back players are going to be guys that we grew up on, right? If they're not historical players like back in the black and white era or the 80s or 90s, like they're recent Run It Back. From what I know, they're going to be recent players like Shaq and Iverson, and T-Mac, those kind of players that we all grew up on and know and love.
Yeah. I think Jacob did walk back it like being a lock that those players are it, but still it sounds like it's going to be early 2000s will be the year that they choose, or like mid 2000s, which like you said, it'll be players that we all like really remember. Even like someone like me who's a bit younger, my earliest memories of basketball is like watching Shaq and Kobe three-peat. So anything after that, I definitely remember. So I think one thing too that'll be super interesting about Run It Back is obviously all these rookies, all these 4-badge rookies especially, are going for a lot of money. Even someone like Nico Mannion going for over 100. Jordan Nwora, I think he's like at 150, maybe even more now. And that's after we've had that stress test where a bunch of them got released and we saw a bit of a dip on them. But there's so many 4Ks going for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And even the ones like LaMelo, who like is so far a solidified star, but he's only had 1 year. And the thing with Run It Back is every single one of these players does not play in the NBA anymore. Their legacy is cemented. There's no guessing. There's no worrying or speculating. We don't have to worry about Anthony Edwards or Tyrese Halliburton actually having a good career or if they fizzle out in their second year. These guys, we will know exactly who they are and where they sit in terms of like NBA royalty. And because of that, like I think we might see a lot of like rookie moments, especially possibly dip. With just people being like, oh, I don't know about James Wiseman, but I do know about Tracy McGrady or something like that. And Also, I would hope that the moments they choose, me and Sawyer talked about this after you and I did that video. I would hope that one, they choose players at the right time. Like if they're saying, hey, we have this year, pick just because Shaq is available as a Celtic does not mean you should make a Shaq moment. That's one. And then two, pick good moments from those players at the right time. And I know that seems kind of like a no-brainer, but it also is a bit of a hard task because they have 1 year. And I would imagine that some players, like every year, they have multiple highlights. But there is someone maybe like I'm trying to think of a name where they're more of a mid-tier player and they don't have like really anything special that happened that year. So maybe you missed it by 1 or 2 years, but you're like, hey, like that's the way it goes. We want the rest of these players. And eventually I would assume, I mean, this is very, very, very long term, but I'd eventually assume that Run It Back hits every single year before Top Shot started. Like it'll take a very long time, obviously, but I do think that'll eventually happen. So I just hope that they have enough foresight that they're like, hey, like, yeah, Shaquille O'Neal's is on the Suns here, so we're gonna wait to do anything with him. Or hey, like Allen Iverson, he's at the end of his first run with the 76ers, and we don't have any super good highlight here. Let's go ahead and wait until we can get him stepping over Tyronn Lue to be his Top Shot debut. Where there's enough players out there that they can pick and choose and be really selective to make sure that those Top Shot debuts are like iconic moments, especially for these like really big star players.
Yeah, I have faith that they're going to do a good job picking the plays. They're going to have a year to prepare and sift through video and do the edits. And I would imagine they've got a small team moving forward that will be just dedicated to the Run It Back series and just finding all the perfect moments from each specific year.
Yeah, and then like we said, like talking to them, these guys like know basketball. So it's not like they're shooting in the dark and they're like, well, I guess we have to watch every single game from this year. Like they're aware of a lot of these players and moments, which is very encouraging too, that they will continue to improve their ability to pick moments.
Yep, I agree. And I think Run It Back is going to be the most sought after set.
Oh yeah. It's not even.
I would say even more than the legendary sets, the hollows that come out on a yearly basis. I think they'll be more accessible with the mint counts.
Yeah,
but I think they'll be comparably priced moving forward. And I think eventually we'll get to a place where the mint counts will probably be about the same from year to year. I mean, we'll kind of top out at a user base here. I mean, not this season, not next season, but a couple of years from now. But we'll get to say a similar mint count every single year from Run It Back. And those prices will be about the same every single year.
Yeah.
And they'll probably be astronomical. I mean, you look at the Run It Back prices right now from Series 1, a lot of them are unattainable. And some of that's due to mint count. But
yeah. But even a lot of the subpar moments, like I think Steven Adams has one, Paul Pierce on the Nets, Kevin Garnett on the Nets. Like people are paying like insane amounts of money for that even. So just imagine.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's gonna be an earthquake here. It's gonna be ground shaking here in the next couple of weeks when they announce and they finally give out the list of plays that we'll be able to look at. That day they put out the pack listings and we're able to see the plays. That day there's going to be so much activity trying to free up Dapper because you want to, you're not going to just want one play. You're going to want like 10 or 12 or 20 of those moments. And how do you do it? You either deposit money, or you start selling stuff. There's going to be so much action, and I hope they release the pack page at least a day, if not a couple days in advance.
Yeah,
just to create the stir and the excitement and give everyone the time to buy and sell and position themselves in a place where they can have enough dapper to go after those moments.
Obviously, like you said, run it back will be the set to go for of this year, and it'll be probably the set every year. And we've talked about in the past about how there are all these whales that are sitting on like just piles of Top Shot debuts. Like there's people that have like 20 Chris Paul Top Shot debuts, all this stuff. And we've talked about how it's important for the health of Top Shot long term that there isn't like a couple people controlling a bulk of the Top Shot debuts or these coveted moments.
Yeah.
So what if Run It Back kind of evacuates a bunch of those out of these accounts because they're like, yeah, we need to dapper up because I want the entire Run It Back set, which
very possible.
Could be really interesting.
Yeah.
One, we might see a complete dump of Series 1 Top Shot debuts. I don't think they'll go like insanely low. Like most of these people are smart enough to be like, yeah, I'm not going to sell this for pennies on the dollar. Right. But if they also would know that the Run It Back is a massive upgrade from, instead of owning 20 Chris Paul Top Shot debuts, I'd rather own one and own the entire Run It Back set 100%. So
sure. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be making that decision.
Yeah.
And even those people that only own, 5 or 10 Top Shot debuts, they probably have one or two of them that they're not super in love with. They just got it at a good price.
Yeah.
But it's the ones that they can get rid of to open up that dapper.
Yeah.
And I also think, so along with the S1s dipping, I think that the S2, because the S2s are kind of the currency of collector score.
Yeah.
Now and probably for the next couple years in the future. I know that they're more than likely going to make a large structural change to how collector score is calculated. But they've also said that they're going to keep what's already been in place intact. The S1s have the benefit of being the first and being the most expensive and being kind of the one that you hang on the wall and admire, right?
Yeah.
S2 is going to be the currency of collector score, where I can use my base of S2 moments as a means to get into pack drops, to get those rares and those legendaries from S3, S4, S5, and so forth. So I think that people will realize that if they want the best moments from this coming season and next season, they're going to need a solid base of S2s, because you can have that base, and they're still cheap right now. I mean, if you go on the market, you can build a decent collector score with a couple $100. You can buy $3 moments, $4 moments. You can finish some cheap teams and stack those players for cheap. And that'll get you in every queue you want to for the next foreseeable future. So I was saying this off air, but I've got 1,000 moments and a 17,000 collector score, and I own almost all S2 commons.
Yeah.
And I'll be eligible for every drop moving forward, because along with being eligible for drops, I'll end up getting some of those rare and legendary packs, because just the sheer volume of queues that I'll be in, and those will add collector score points also. And so that base, along with the S3 rares and legendaries, will just keep the base growing and growing and growing. And you can be set for as long as you're in Top Shot, as long as you're heavily invested in that collector score base of the S2 moments.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, on top of us watching Series 1 probably drop when Run It Back is announced, we'll see S2 go up, actually.
Because you can't liquidate S2 moments and get enough dapper for Run It Back moments. I mean, the Run It Back moments are going to be hundreds of dollars a piece.
Yeah.
Even the cheapest ones are going to be a couple $100 a piece. And you're not going to get that by selling your S2 moments, because then if you sell your S2s, then you're decreasing your collector score for the future.
Correct.
So that doesn't make sense. So the only thing that makes sense is either to deposit more money or liquidate some of those S1s. that have now become kind of inflated in price, especially compared to where they were 3 weeks ago. I mean, a lot of those top tier moments are 4 times, 5 times as expensive now as they were at the beginning of this month. So those, I mean, the peaks and valleys of markets, I'm almost guaranteeing that those S1 prices will come down once the Run It Back series is announced.
Yeah, I would be absolutely shocked if they don't, just because we have seen this massive growth. Like at the very least, there would be a correction, but I do think we're going to see a pretty significant dip for sure. And maybe we don't see this with future Run It Back packs, because maybe this is the last time that a lot of these whales kind of clear out these massive stacks of Top Shot debuts they have. So, I mean, that's a very good thing, a very healthy thing for the marketplace. So maybe we don't see it as violently as we'll see this time. But yeah, like we will see Series 1 drop for sure. And I didn't even think about the collector score thing. But yeah, we'll see Series 2 go up as well. And so this is one thing that's actually really interesting. The First Mint came out with that podcast, and LG was talking to Steve Veerman, who had pointed out, hey, like these summer league moments like are such a low collector score. It's possible maybe that this is what we're going to see with Series 3. And if that's the case, like that makes Series 2 a lot more valuable. So I know you and I have talked about this for months, especially when the team stacking news came out and basically Top Shot said, hey, team stacking will not be a thing in the future. We're not going to take it away from you. We don't want to rug pull you, so you can do it with Series 1 and 2, but moving forward, you can't do it with, you won't be able to do it with Series 3. And that's when all of us started talking about, hey, like Series 3 common moments are probably going to be worth a lot less collector score. There's way less incentive to stack because you're not increasing that bonus on them. Like maybe buying sets will actually make more sense for collector score for Series 3 than Series 2. And we talked a lot about that on and off for the last couple of months. And I know you, me, Big Ticket, and maybe one or two other people have been hammering that floor for months, just scooping $1, $2, and now $3 moments, just slowly building up both that collector score and just flexibility with the S2, the Series 2 floor. I mean, even in the last 3 days, my collector score has gone from like 5K to 6.2K. It's been me using all my Dapper that I got from those Summer League moments and converting it mostly into buying floor moments. I did finish my Hustle and Show set, and I did make a major dent in completing the Scene Star set, which I would like to have complete before Series 3 starts. But yeah, like I know you and I have talked about this. I know Big Ticket has been a preacher of this, even just in terms of like when Series 3 happens, like we know the Series 2 floor will rise just because it's Series 2, not even talking about the collector score. And so you and I, all of us were like, yeah, like this just makes sense in terms of a percentage gain to just hammer this floor out. And then just kind of at the worst case scenario, you sell for a small profit. Best case scenario, this has a lot of advantages for Top Shot going forward. And I think we had speculated, like I said, on collector score. I think hearing Veerman make that observation really kind of like reminded me of all of our talks and kind of made a lot of people very aware. I think a lot of people were kind of, it seems they were sleeping on this because the podcast was amazing, but there was a lot of people who were talking about it like this is the first time they ever thought about that. And I found that really interesting. So when that podcast came out, one thing it did change for me, and I told you this off before we were recording, but I delisted everything. I had a bunch of Brooke Lopez's that I had listed for $11 and $12, and I was like, it'll eventually hit there, and when that happens, I'll take a decent profit. I took those off. I took everything off except I think I have 3 moments up for sale, and one of them is a Killian Hayes right now. And that's because I just see 0 point in selling anything, specifically selling anything Series 2 right now, because collector score, utility, having a bunch of different players from a bunch of different teams for like potential quests or challenges. Like we had the All NBA team quest that just dropped. I didn't have to buy anyone for it. I had them all because I had been more focusing on the floor, stacking the very floor, but I had scooped up like, oh, an Embiid $5. Did that a long time ago. A couple Kawhis here and there, stuff like that. So I do think it'll be super fascinating to see what happens with the run it back and Series 3 following probably shortly after that. And in between that too, we have potentially trade tickets and rake back.